Whether you're content to hang out on the piers, work your way to the top, or host glamorous parties at home, there's a place for every lifestyle in Roaring Heights. With endless opportunities at your front door, which new life will you choose to live? What's up guys, Rakowski here, and today we're continuing to judge each and every build here in Roaring Heights. Before we get started, please don't forget to like this video, and if you enjoy Sims games that aren't The Sims 4, or if you just love hating on EA's builds, then I highly suggest that you hit that subscribe button as well. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Also, if you're interested in having access to custom emojis and a loyal toilet badge next to your name, then feel free to sign up to my channel membership. And if you already have, please know that I appreciate each and every one of you who helped make this series possible. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Well, welcome back to the beautiful world of Roaring Heights, everybody. Kyle's sleeping behind me. I hope that doesn't bother anybody. But anyway, I'm starting today's episode actually in the last house that we explored because you guys let me know in the comment section down below that I missed something very important. So I just want to point out that this was the house that I had to delete the trees from, and now you can really see why, right? But if we do go into the house, I missed the basement and people wanted me to touch on this. So going inside the basement, I see like they have this dumpster. I have no idea what the dumpster in hay is for. If someone could explain that to me, but I know that Bonnie and Clyde are like robbers, so I assume this is like their stolen stuff. I don't know if 6 perfumes is gonna cut it for me, honestly, and I understand that like a lot of people disagreed with my opinion on the references for this, but I still stand by it. Like, I don't think they're very strong. I think that the references are specifically quite like American and pop culture-y, and usually they kind of like mix it up a little bit, so that I don't like. And on top of that, like I said before, like in their sim biographies, there's so little to go off of. This family actually has like one of the nicest ones. They're like, oh, will he lead Bonnie down the wrong path? So like at least it's a little bit more on the nose, but some of the descriptions are literally like, they moved to the big city. Now that being said, keep in mind that this whole series is literally my opinion, so you're free to agree with it or disagree with it and absolutely challenge on it. My goal for these videos is not to have everyone agree with me. My goal for these videos is to get people looking and to be critical. And I'd rather than be critical of EA, but if you're gonna be critical of me, then, you know, all's fair, I guess. But with that out of the way, me and my fragile ego are gonna jump into the first house. See you there. First up is Overstated Opulence. It absolutely is. It kind of looks like an apartment building or even kind of like a community lot again. I don't really like the brick style that they're going for. I was definitely looking up a lot of the Art Deco styles, especially since I didn't quite understand some of the choices here, but apparently this world is based off of Miami, which I never realized because like Art Deco started in France and I'm not from the US, so I wasn't really going for that vibe. But looking at this is not really Miami, I don't think. I did some extra research trying to find like examples, and I did see a lot of the pastel colors and the rounded walls and stuff, but this bay window is just not gonna cut it. And speaking of windows, this is like one of those houses that they just put way too many windows on. There's like maybe 40 to 50. I'm not gonna count all of them because it's gonna become redundant if I do that for every EA build. Okay, it's probably just PTSD from The Sims 4, but this whole room reminds me of vintage glamour stuff, which is probably like the most Art Deco pack that we have in that game. That being said, I'm actually relatively impressed. I was terrified that this was going to be a disaster, but the inside doesn't have a whole lot of color. Well, it does have this big green living room, and you know how I feel about that, but I think they did a much better job with the furnishing. Notice how they have like plants, a coffee table, like actually other things in the room. Now, that being said, this house is too big because they're finally using enough things, but there's not enough for this size, if that kind of makes sense. A green kitchen, once again, about half the kitchens are green in this world. There's also something else I learned too. The fridge is separate because fridges were a relatively new invention. I knew they weren't really a thing in Victorian times, so they didn't really have a place to fit it in the kitchen. But in this kitchen, you could have easily fit it because there's so many tiles. I don't think I've ever seen that long of a counter in a residential kitchen in my life. Okay, going upstairs, we have another color palette that I'm not really enjoying, but they are keeping things consistent with like the wallpaper and the curtains and stuff. I really like the grand hall. I wish they did the whole house nice and white like this. Actually, now looking at this, you guys know I love teal, right? So I'm definitely loving the carpet. I don't mind it paired with the orange. I think it's really nice. But again, like look how big and empty this is. Like this room is massive. And then it has this big walk-in closet that's bigger than my normal bedrooms. And then of course a bathroom. Ugh, another baby poo bedroom. Honestly, just like going up the stairs is just kind of like more of the same. I don't think digging into each and every one of these bedrooms is even going to be really worth our time. But I did double check and make sure that there's no basement this time. And the sim who lives here, his name is Henry Simovich. And if you're a fan of Riverview, that surname will definitely ring a bell to you. So leave me a comment down below if you know the deal with this. Okay, overall, I absolutely agree with the name, Overstated Opulence. This house delivered on that. That being said, it didn't really deliver on style, aesthetic, the time period, or anything like that. I don't know. I don't like this one either. I'm gonna give it a 4. I mean, it's ambitious and I'm sure it took a long time, but I mean, like at the end of the day, if you just put like a starter home's worth of furniture into your mansion, then I can't really like it too much, especially if you don't know color theory. Next up is Purple Palace. Okay, to be honest, when I was looking for this, I was terrified because I thought this is gonna be a gigantic purple ugly house. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We actually got like a nice little cute house. I don't know how Art Deco this is, but one thing I really hate is when they do like a box and then they just cut off the corners to make it look like less of a box. It's like the laziest thing you can do. It's just, it doesn't look like a style either. I don't know how I feel about it. Again, I think they're just going for the rounded windows, but they don't have that in this game. Like you can't make rounded walls, so it's a bit of a dud. Okay, I just suddenly felt sick to my stomach and I don't know why. So let's jump inside and see if, oh no, I think I know why now. Okay, so this wood tone is probably the ugliest wood I've ever seen in Roaring Heights so far, possibly even the whole game. And they decided to use it for the floor, stairs, wall, and everything. So that isn't good. Looking at this dining room, remember how I said I don't like dining rooms with just a table and a plant? Well, this one's missing the plant. Going into the kitchen, I don't really know, why is there 2 full dining tables? This is like the worst thing because everything's gonna get all clogged up. Your sims are gonna be tapping their foot trying to get around. There's already 5 sims that live here. This dining table fits 6, so that's enough. And then the living room only seats 4. Like what's like, I don't understand the difference. Okay, it's a green bathroom. However, they tried to teal it out with the mirror, so at least I like that. This office, why is it an office with toys? Is like, maybe it's just like a homework room or something, but again, you have several children. Okay, going upstairs, we have a blue bathroom. They really like this whole thing of like one of every color bathroom in these houses, but unfortunately, they don't decide to choose white usually. See, even this one has like a pink accent or something. But overall, I do like these bathrooms a lot better than some of the other worlds. Even the green ones I find less hideous. And actually looking at the floor plan as a whole, it's really just those 2 dining tables I hate. I love this setup. I love how you can just kind of come all out to the middle of the stairs. The stairs are wide so everyone can walk up and down whenever they need to. Everyone's got their own bedroom, pretty much their own bathroom too. So I mean, for a smaller house, I think they did a pretty good job. But yeah, that being said, like the purple is probably my favorite part about the whole house. Once I went inside, the whole thing kind of fell apart style-wise. And again, like the dining table thing, it doesn't make any sense. Like, who is planning these things? I'm gonna give this one a 4 as well, because I'm also a strong believer that like the floor plan is kind of as strong as its weakest link, and just having like this corner of the house, I can just see in the morning everyone's gonna try to run down to eat and it's gonna be a disaster. Next up is Secluded Manor. I'm actually gonna subtract a point for the name because this is not secluded at all. It's kind of like in the middle of downtown, kind of next to the skyscrapers, and if you're in the skyscraper, you can see in through the skylights and stuff. So anyway, there's a lot of better places that they could have put it. That being said, it's all right. I don't know. I kind of like the details. I like the skylights. I like the fencing and stuff. But what I don't like is like the simplicity. It's too boxy. This is almost like my first Sims mansion, right? Which actually, ironically, this might have been the first house the person built who made this world. And then afterwards, they did the nice one. So I'm not 100% sure. But again, it's got that EA too many window problem, except there's just random walls with no windows at all, right? Which is, I guess, kind of realistic, right? But anyway, it's just something that bothers me. Now, speaking of bothers me, I see a red butterfly carpet, so I don't know how we'll feel about that. But I do see a little girl, so at least it would make sense. So let's jump inside. Okay, so as you enter, it's like a stage theater, which I like stages, but it's not going to be very functional here. This is like very much, they like to put like a statement on the first floor or a big empty room, and then all the residence is like on the upstairs. So I kind of understand what they're going for, but again, it just doesn't really suit me. Now, the bar, I don't know why you'd have a bar at like the entrance of your house. That's a little bit weird. Now going upstairs, this hallway is like hideous. This is ugly green, ugly stairs, ugly railing, ugly everything actually. Okay, so now going into this bedroom, I'm actually happy to see it because of everything else I've seen already. Now, why does it have 4 beds? I know this guy's rich, and I know Shirley just showed up like right on his doorstep. Oh my God, I get it. Shirley Temple played Little Orphan Annie, and Little Orphan Annie is from this time period, I think. Going over here, I see another blue bathroom. Like it's, even the things I like in this house are just like repeats of everything else, like the pink bathroom. Actually, I like the pink and the turquoise together. That's beautiful. But yeah, then you have a green half bathroom. This is more green than any other bathroom we've seen so far today. But I mean, realistically, let's just look at this. Like 2 people live here. The top floor has 4 sleeping spaces and like 3 bathrooms. You go downstairs, there's 2 more bathrooms, 5 more, 6 more sleeping spaces. And then of course on the first floor, I didn't even notice back here. Never mind, actually. I did not see this blue kitchen. How did I miss this? Actually, I wouldn't mind a purple oven because those are kind of coveted, but again, like the blue sink with the blue counter and the blue stove, not really for me. I will do anything to have an end table and a dining room in Roaring Heights because they are just out of control with this just dining table thing. Like you need something else other than a plant. I mean, it's definitely on like the disappointing side of mansions. It's not really for me. It isn't super hideous, but the ugliest parts are kind of the most important parts, and the shell is really weak as a whole. Oh, Kyle just did a big stretch. I was gonna give it a 4, but now I feel better. So I'm gonna incorporate some bias and I'm gonna give it a 5. And actually I should give it a 5 anyway, because this is the first reference that I actually got. I kind of like the storyline. Next up is the striped Manse. So funnily enough, sometimes in my spare time, I'll be on Google and I'll just type in like ugliest house in the world or whatever just to see what's up. And I've seen a house that is painted exactly like this. And the funny story is the person painted it passive aggressively just to bother their neighbor, which was like ridiculous, right? Like I'm pretty petty, but I would never make my house ugly just to like spite my next door. Anyway, I don't want to get into that because that's like a whole separate video. That's a whole separate thing on its own, looking for ugly real life houses. Here we are in The Sims. That being said, without the stripes, I really like this, especially knowing that a lot of the style is from Miami. This is definitely more of like a Miami style building, although again, it would be more of an apartment. I know apartments started to become a lot more popular around the Art Deco times, right? Especially as you move through the 30s and people couldn't afford anything. So it is a realistic shell. It's just they're using them for houses and not apartments. This is when the Sims 2 apartment life would come in really handy because you could just break up a build in how many apartments you want. Okay, fingers crossed for no green bathrooms. Let's go inside. We have a pea yellow bathroom and a yellow kitchen. I don't hate yellow really. It just really, again, depends on the shade. I'm not a yellow green hater. It's just the EA yellows and the EA greens are just not for me. That being said, even though this kitchen is pretty big, it's not as big as some of the kitchens that we've seen before. This living room has more seats than the last house, despite the fact only 2 Sims live here and they have less money. So that's just something I want to point out. Okay, going upstairs, we have a green bathroom, but it's Art Deco green, which is more my kind of green, so I guess we'll forgive it. The pink bathrooms, I've actually been warming up to. This is a nice shade of pink. Usually in like the base game worlds, they use like these crazy deep pinks for bathrooms, which is not for me, but this is a little bit better. Now, this bedroom has a serious problem because I have a lighting mod installed where the game is like 10 times brighter than it usually is. So if you play The Sims 3 without mods, you'll know the rooms are typically quite dark, and these bedrooms, look how dark they are, even with like the Bright Skies lighting mod. Ridiculous. So I think I made a comment in the last video like, oh, thank God, we probably got through all the bad houses. And then a few people commented like, you haven't seen anything yet. And now I'm starting to see what they mean because again, the only house that I've seen like this in real life was painted purposefully to be ugly, and the inside doesn't work. It works more like an apartment building. They didn't do a very good job styling it. I don't know, this is one of the worst ones. I'm gonna give it a 2. And coming out of it, like the more I look at it, the less I hate it, but I don't know if that's a good thing. It's kind of like when you're like living in a pile of crap and it stops smelling. Next up is the beach bum. And you might tell from my happy tone that I am very happy with this. I love this house, very nice details. I love the color. This is finally getting me that Art Deco inspired style that I was looking for. And especially now that I've looked more at Miami houses, this looks especially more beautiful. It's like right on the beach. I love the plants. I love the colors. The pink door is just a nice, beautiful little touch. I know some people are gonna hate that because if it was a baby poo door, I would have freaked out. But I mean, look, they even even have like a rooftop deck, 2 doors to get into it, so like you're not blocking anything off. I don't know, this is kind of nice so far. I have goose pimples. Okay, let's just jump inside. Oh my god, I'm sorry, did you see this wood in the entrance? I am so sick of the weak entrances, because if you're gonna make a house that's super colorful and fun, why would you have this kind of brown to open it off? Like, even in Victorian times, they had very beautiful woods. There's no excuse for this. Also, this stair has no railing and no walls, so you can just kind of fall off the side there and die. Okay, another red and greenish blue kitchen. At least this kitchen is small. I like this size, actually. See, this is more what I was looking for in a kitchen, but what can you do? Yellow bathroom. My goodness, I've been looking at bathrooms and Art Deco houses from all over the world, and I haven't really seen the style that they've been choosing. I think they went with one style and just kind of copied it for every house. That seems to be what's happened, because these tiles are definitely repeated. Now, the rooms are kind of like small and cramped together, but it does seem pretty efficient. They do allow for like 2 hallways. There's not a lot of ways to get in and out of each room, but there's only 1 sim living here, so people shouldn't be blocking the door too much. I especially like this upstairs bar room. Again, really nice touch. It's harmonious with the outside. It looks nice on its own on the inside. Like, EA can do it, so I love when they do. It's just like when they don't, it drives me nuts. Actually, what really drives me nuts is this lamp. Look at this lamp here. It's positioned in a way that, like, if you opened the door, it would smash the light, you know what I mean? So just like little things like that will bother me. They could have easily used a wall light or something, but I guess now I'm just getting nitpicky. Okay, to summarize, this is absolutely my favorite shell. Like, without a doubt, it's better than any of the mansions. It doesn't have to be a mansion or complicated to impress me. It just has to be nice. And this one is actually nice, with nice colors, true to the style, fits right in with the world. Now, that being said, we have a few problems with the inside, so we can't give it a perfect 10, but like the shell is really blowing me away. The rooms are working, and quite frankly, I don't mind doing a little renovation inside if I don't have to touch the shell. So I'm gonna give this one a 9. This is so dichotomous. And fun fact, somebody in my comment section, thank you by the way, decided to do some statistical analysis on my rankings. Now, even though my opinions are completely full of bias, it's mathematically sound, and if we're looking at Roaring Heights, it's gonna have a really high standard deviation. Next up is the cat's Meow. Anyway, speaking of the cat's Meow, Kyle's behind me like groaning and yawning and snoring and making little sleep meows, so I'm so sorry if that bothers you, but you'll have to deal with it. Now, looking at this, I'm like, okay, I definitely know the reference for this building. I think, like, I've seen a trailer for The Great Gatsby, and I was hoping we would get that, because there are a lot of mansions in this world, and so far they've been ugly, so I thought we'd get at least one grand one. I've also never seen this many skylights in a Sims build and thought it looked good, so far it's going well. So let's jump inside. Okay, I'm not going to point out each individual room because I think every house in this episode is going to be like a big mansion, so I'm just going to point out the best and the worst. One of the best things is this blue tile with like the gold, very Art Deco and very stylish. Even though like I hate this kind of shade of blue, they did a really good job with it, and I can't really find any faults with it. I can definitely find faults in this dining room, but I'm going to let you be the judge of that, because I've yelled at enough of empty dining rooms. Going in here, I see a green bathroom as usual. What's on the other side? Oh my god, a metal sofa. I don't know if this is right. You have to be careful with creative style, because you're not only picking colors, you're picking like the texture. So you can accidentally end up with like fabric countertops or metal couches if you're not careful. Going upstairs, I like the overhanging hallway, because it means that we don't have to have like another big blocky room for no reason. This house has a lot of bedrooms, and like for a mansion, especially when there's only 1 sim living in it, I don't really like that idea, because you don't need all these beds. And in a real mansion, well, I don't know about like a real mansion per se, but in my future mansion, I don't want that many bedrooms. I want a couple, but then the rest of the rooms are going to be like activity rooms and like fun rooms, like things to do, like the billiard room or the conservatory. You know, think like the Clue board game board. That's kind of what I'm looking for in a mansion. Now, this is at least kind of like a bar lounge room on the upstairs. Oh, it's attached to a kitchenette. This is nice, actually. So one thing that I like to do in my mansions is put like little kitchenettes kind of on different levels, just so you don't have to run all the way downstairs to eat, right? So this has like a little, like, I guess a food processor and like a coffee machine or something. So it's definitely something that I would do in a build, and I'm really glad that they chose to, because usually they do not make the same choices that I would make. Actually, this house looks a lot better from the back, so maybe we'll do our ending shot here. Now, it's definitely a grand mansion. I really love the style. Once again, strong architecture, and for this one, they did the inside pretty good. It didn't seem too empty and barren for a big mansion. It seems relatively relatively playable for how big it is, and I think they made a lot of really good decisions. And as a whole, and this is a big step because usually this doesn't happen, but EA's vision actually kind of came to fruition. I'm gonna give this a 9. Okay, I'm so glad we got a 9 because we had a few low scores to start off, and like I don't think I can emotionally handle like ugly house after ugly house today. I need something pretty in the middle to break it up. Next up is the Chic Corner. +1 point for the name actually, because I look at the name and then try to find it on the map because I'm always disoriented and I never know where I am. And I just looked for something chic and on the corner, and this was the first thing I saw, and it was the correct one, so well done. Now that being said, it's another one of those like apartments where they don't have the apartment, but they're pretending. I would have much preferred these apartments to function similar to the Bridgeport ones, perhaps a little less laggy, but you know what I mean. And I understand the argument that you have to buy late night to have access to apartments, but this world costs as much as an expansion pack, so I don't see a problem with them like adding in things like that. And especially with The Sims 3, you do have like cross DLC items anyway, like the vampires, the fame system kind of thing, and they just kind of add their own little tweaks in each pack, and that might have been a better idea. In fact, a best idea would have been to have like Sims 2 apartment life, quite frankly. So let's just jump inside. I really love the shell. I didn't talk about it, but I absolutely love this color and color palette and everything. I'm just being bitchy as usual. So let's go inside. This is a much nicer wood. I don't know which woods are Art Deco and which ones are not. Now there is a massive problem though. Look at this railing. Why is one railing different than the other railing, and in fact the rest of the room? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe they were going for this whole color first and they just forgot to change it, and I actually would have not hated this color either. I don't know how I would have felt about it as the walls and the floor too, but if they did this properly, it would have been nicer. Okay, going upstairs, wow, this is really structured like an apartment building. Now I don't like this at all because this is like the hallway of the apartment building, and then each apartment is just like a different room of the house. Yeah, like the other ones, they kind of had it going through the building, which made a little bit more sense. I don't know. And the styling of this, not really for me, not super Art Deco. Oh my God, look at this combination. I don't even have words for this. Blue, green, whatever this is, this yellowy orange. Like I like some of this stuff separately, but all together it's just like a hodgepodge of a disaster. Now going in here, there's like another stage, and I've noticed that the bigger homes keep having stages, which is something I would really enjoy because I love attention, but I've already had you guys click on me, so here we are. Now going into this bathroom, I will admit this is not white and gold. Finally, I will admit that, but I mean, this is kind of funky. I don't mind the blue and black. It's a little bit electric, but I don't feel Art Deco from this. I feel 80s, right? Like it feels like an 80s colorful bathroom. Okay, I'm running out of jokes for bathrooms, so I'm just gonna ignore the yellow one and we're gonna go into the bedrooms. Ooh, a minty bathroom, but it's still like the same problem. Like every single bathroom is a different color except white, right? And I don't see the purpose of it. And every wood floor is the exact same parquet, and it's not even that pretty. Like, I don't know, this thing is off center, it's gonna fall off. I don't know, like it's just not hitting the mark for me. I mean, the outside is chic, but the inside sure isn't. I don't know, like the more I see this style of building, like the more I see like the pros and cons of it. And I really enjoyed like the buildings that make the first floor something else, like a retail space or something, but this thing was designed to be like a Sims 2 apartment, and then they just turned it into a house. It isn't really for me, but again, the outside is nice and you can always kind of play around with it. So I don't know, I'm gonna give this one a 5. I miss when I would give 5s just because they were like basic, boring, and simple. Now I'm just giving 5s because it's like half of it's awesome and half of it is horrendous. So I don't know, I guess we'll have to see what comes next. Next up is the Chic Citadel. Actually, it's just the Citadel. Oh my God, I misread. I just saw it and I was like, ooh, this is chic. And it just like played into my brain because of like the other house name. But really looking at this, I love this. This is like my type of modern house. It's still got some Art Deco style, but it's still like a Sims house, if that makes sense. Love the cornered windows, very nice style. Love the door choice, and I love the fact that it's just black and white. Usually I need a color, but they did the right balance of black and white here. I don't really know how to explain it, but it just works well for the eye. It's just cohesive and it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, and a lot of these houses might, right? So I think it's really well done. And I'd also like to mention that these Sims are lesbians, so that's really cool because we don't really get a lot of like pre-made gay Sims. We had one in The Sims 2, we had one in like the previous house or whatever, but this is like the part of the Sims history where things really started to diversify. Nowadays, you wouldn't really know, because in every Sims 4 trailer, like it stars lesbians, so you'd be like, oh yeah, lesbians are in The Sims, but they weren't really before. Now looking in here, this blue room, I don't know, I don't hate it actually. This is something that I would normally not enjoy, especially with the snake skin and stuff, or maybe it's giraffe, I'm not sure, maybe somebody from like a different climate could tell me, but like overall, it doesn't make me like disgusted. Looking at this floor, this is a nice wood floor. It's not quite cherry, but it's not quite brown. It's a nice little bit in between. I wish they would kind of get a little more creative with their wood colors like in other houses. Okay, I got one white bathroom this episode finally, but I mean, even so, I'm looking at like the floor plan and it's really nice for a family house. Again, I like how the stairs are in the middle, like the rooms are kind of on the side, you kind of head center. The stairs are double wide, but they're not too big, so you can always kind of be going up and down at the same time. And the interesting choices they made, I may not like, my soul might not agree with them, but I have to respect it because it's not absolutely hideous. I don't know, this house is hitting a lot of my marks. I love the shell, I love the black and white, I love most of the inside, and quite frankly, the things that I'm not really okay with are just a taste of aesthetic, right? Like they really did a good job on this, and I really love when people go a little too far and I just have to pull it back a bit, and I think that's what this house represents. I don't really have to add anything. I'm gonna give it a 10. Okay, so we got another 10 this episode at least, so that's good, but I mean, since we got another 10, I'm wondering, do we have any left? Probably not. And last but not least is the field. I don't know how I feel about it. I absolutely hate the color palette, but the shell is kind of nice. Actually, the shell might be one of the better ones that we've seen before. It's definitely a little bit different than other things. I like harmonized builds, but I don't like when every build looks the same, and this world kind of does have that problem, so this at least breaks it up a little bit. I would have also maybe utilized the roof or something, like you have this tower, you could have stepped out onto it. I don't know, a lot of these houses are bigger than they have to be, and I know it's only one Sim, but I mean, may as well stick with it, right? I don't really have much else to comment about except for this detail. Love this. It's like this random bump in, and it's got this like wooden plank. It's like 2 stories high. Very nice. And it just like, it adds a little bit of like a dynamic shape, right? Like if you're doing something blocky, you have to do something. Okay, did someone break into my game and change all the green into blue? Because we've seen so much blue this episode, but this carpet, very Art Deco style. This is done with like all of the like different like quarter tiles that you can do in the game. This is a really good use of that. The kitchen, finally we're getting small kitchens, but like I don't like this kitchen at all. I don't think, I don't know. These blues just don't really go together in my opinion. Here we have more metal fabric for some reason. Apparently that's an Art Deco thing. I don't mind this statue actually being metal. It's a little bit more modern and interesting, right? So it's not like nothing can be metal, but they're making too many things metal in this world. One detail that I would like to point out though that I really love, and this is very common in older houses, I guess this is the part of history where it started like changing, but there's a separate toilet room and a separate washroom. If you ever like wondered why a washroom is called that, it's because it's based off of this room. There's no toilet, you just wash yourself in it, right? And then you have the toilet room. And in fact, in the UK, like you still, like if I'm in London and I need to go to the bathroom, I ask, where's the toilet, right? Because that's what's gonna make sense to them. Yeah, and moving upstairs, it's even more blue. And in fact, the blue is probably my favorite part because when I look at it from a whole, it's like this ugly tile. They love their big empty hallways with absolutely no style. It matches the outside, but again, like the outside was my least favorite part, like in terms of color. So I would have just went for like blue the whole thing or kind of made the inside white or something. I wish they could have married this house together with the last one. I think it could have made something interesting. Actually, 2 builds having a baby, that's kind of an interesting concept for like a build challenge or like a video. So let me know in the comments down below if that's something that sounds interesting. I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas, but at the end of the day, it is kind of an ugly green EA house, and they tried to save it on the inside, but they tried to save it with blue. And again, like blue and green don't really go together. The inside is like a pukey baby poo beige. I don't know. What should I do? I'm gonna give it a 4. Sometimes when I'm overwhelmed with like all this information, I just have to go with my gut, and I don't like this house. At the end of the day, I tried to like it. I tried to enjoy the blue. I enjoyed the blue for what it was, but I certainly don't enjoy this house. Well, that does it for the 2nd episode of Roaring Heights. What did you guys think? I am blown away in both directions. Like some things I cannot believe that they chose. Some things I cannot believe that they chose because they're so beautiful. And it's just really kind of throwing me off, but it's a little bit fun. It's kind of, it's giving me like emotional and aesthetic whiplash. But of course, as always, feel free to leave your opinions in the comments down below. The last thing I want to leave you with is this empty giant lot, because I actually have the boardwalk, which is like the special venue that comes with this world, and I'm gonna include it as like our finale, similar to how we reviewed the Lucky Palms Casino. That being said, I don't own all of the venues for every world, so we're not gonna be doing that for every episode, but the boardwalk and the casino are like two of my favorite things, so I'm definitely gonna include the boardwalk for our finale. But anyway, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the next episodes. And yeah, episode 1 of this did exceptionally well, better than most of the other videos in this series, so maybe people have a soft spot for Roaring Heights, so I hope I'm not destroying it for you, but at the end of the day, I just have to say what I think. Anyway, thanks again, having so much fun. I can't wait for the next one. Boom.